Hey everyone, welcome to Fiction Flux. Today, we're diving into a brand new what-if scenario. What if Izumi Midoriya, also known as Female Deku, and Momo Yaoyorozu had a secret relationship that no one knew about? Imagine the emotional roller coaster, the intense battles, and the challenges they would face while hiding their bond from the world. How would their love shape their journey as heroes? Let's get started. The sun was setting over Ua High School, casting a warm orange glow across the training grounds. Izumi Midoriya, known to her friends as Deku, sat on the steps of the dormitory, nervously fidgeting with her notebook. She glanced over her shoulder, her emerald eyes scanning for someone special. Deku, a soft voice called. Izumi turned and smiled as Momo Yaoyorozu approached, her dark hair cascading over her shoulders. She looked radiant, even in her casual Ua uniform. "You're late," Izumi teased gently, trying to mask the warmth rising in her cheeks. "Sorry," Momo replied, sitting beside her. "I got caught up in training with Todoroki." Izumi's smile faltered for a moment before she caught herself. "It's okay. I just missed you." Momo's expression softened. Momo reached out, placing her hand over Izumi's. "I missed you too," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. The moment lingered, their hands entwined, hidden from the view of anyone who might pass by. For weeks now, they'd been keeping their relationship a secret, fearful of how their classmates or teachers might react. They weren't ashamed, but the pressure of being heroes in training left little room for personal matters, let alone a budding romance. "I hate this," Izumi admitted, breaking the silence. "Hiding how I feel about you. It's like I can't be honest with myself." Momo sighed, her brows furrowing in thought. "I know, Izumi, I feel the same. But, we can't afford distractions. What if someone tries to use our feelings against us? What if—" "Enough with the what-ifs, Momo," Izumi interrupted, surprising even herself. Her voice cracked with emotion. "All I know is that when I'm with you, everything feels right. Isn't that worth fighting for?" Momo's eyes widened, and for a moment, Izumi feared she'd said too much. But then Momo smiled, a soft, genuine smile that made Izumi's heart race. "You're right," Momo said, squeezing Izumi's hand. "You always are." Before either could say another word, a distant voice called out. "Midoriya, Yaoyorozu, dinner's ready." It was Iida, ever punctual and oblivious. The two girls shared a quick, conspiratorial glance. "We'd better go," Momo said, standing and brushing off her skirt. "Yeah," Izumi replied, rising to her feet. But before they could head inside, Izumi hesitated. "Momo." "Yes." Izumi stepped closer, her heart pounding. "Just one more thing." And then, she leaned in, pressing a quick, tender kiss to Momo's cheek. The taller girl's face flushed, but her smile only grew wider. "See you at dinner," Izumi said with a wink before hurrying inside. Momo stood there for a moment, touching the spot where Izumi had kissed her. Despite the challenges ahead, she felt a renewed sense of courage. For the first time, she wasn't just fighting to be a hero. She was fighting for them. Later that night, as the dorm quieted down, the girls found themselves in the common room, surrounded by their oblivious classmates. Kaminari was telling some joke that no one found funny, Bakugo was scowling in the corner, and Uraraka was trying and failing to explain something to Mineta. Izumi and Momo exchanged glances from across the room. It was a silent communication, one they'd perfected over the past few weeks. "Wait for me in the study room," Momo's eyes seemed to say. Izumi nodded subtly, slipping away. Unnoticed. When Momo joined her minutes later, the room was dimly lit, the only sound the faint hum of the heater. Izumi was seated at the table, her hands clasped nervously. "I've been thinking," Momo began, closing the door behind her. "Maybe it's time we stopped hiding." Izumi's head snapped up. "You mean?" Momo nodded. "If our friends can't accept us for who we are, then maybe they're not the friends we thought they were. And as for the teachers, we're already under pressure to be heroes. What's one more thing to fight for?" Izumi felt tears prick her eyes. "Momo, Before she could finish, Momo stepped forward, wrapping her arms around Izumi in a warm embrace. "You're worth it, Izumi. We're worth it." For the first time in weeks, Izumi felt like she could breathe. Resting her head against Momo's shoulder, she whispered, "Thank you." As the night deepened, they stayed like that, lost in each other's warmth. They didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for now, they had each other, and that was all that mattered. The peaceful moment between Momo and Izumi didn't last long. Just as they pulled apart, the study room door creaked open. Both girls froze, their hearts pounding. Standing in the doorway was none other than Katsuki Bakugo. His crimson eyes flicked between the two of them, narrowing suspiciously. "What the hell's going on here?" he growled, crossing his arms. Izumi panicked, her mind racing for an excuse, but Momo was quicker. "We were just discussing some training strategies for tomorrow," she said smoothly, her tone calm and composed. Bakugo raised an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. "Training, huh? Then why the hell were you all cozy like that?" Izumi's face turned crimson, and she opened her mouth to stammer out a reply, but Momo stepped forward, her posture firm. "It's none of your business, Bakugo," he scoffed, leaning against the doorframe. "You think I care about your little secrets? Whatever. Just don't let it distract you on the battlefield." He turned to leave but paused, glancing back over his shoulder. "And Midoriya, don't let this soft side of yours get you killed." With that, he was gone, leaving the door slightly ajar. Izumi slumped into the chair, her hands shaking. "Do you think he knows?" Momo placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Bakugo might suspect something, but I doubt he'll say anything. He's all bark and no bite when it comes to personal matters." Izumi nodded, but the encounter left her uneasy. "Maybe we should wait a little longer before telling everyone." Momo frowned, sitting beside her. "Izumi, we can't live in fear of what others think. Bakugo may have caught us off guard, but the rest of them, they're our friends. I believe they'll support us." Izumi's gaze softened as she looked at Momo. "How do you stay so strong? I mean, I know you're powerful, but emotionally, you're amazing." Momo blushed at the compliment, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "Because I have you. You make me feel brave." Their moment of vulnerability was interrupted again, this time by a more cheerful voice. "Hey, are you two in here?" It was Mina Ishido, her pink head popping through the door. "Oh, there you are. Everyone's looking for you. Movie night's starting in 5 minutes." Momo quickly stood, smoothing her skirt. "We'll be there in a moment, Mina." "Thank you." Mina tilted her head, her sharp eyes flicking between them. "You two have been spending a lot of time together lately. Anything you want to share?" Izumi tensed, but Momo only smiled. "Just trying to be better heroes. Nothing more." Mina grinned knowingly. "Aha, sure. Well, hurry up, lovebirds." She winked and disappeared down the hall. Izumi buried her face in her hands. "Momo, this is getting harder to hide." Momo chuckled softly. "Maybe that's not such a bad thing." The next day, in the middle of a joint training exercise, disaster struck. A surprise attack simulation was sprung on Class 1A, throwing the students into chaos. As explosions rocked the training field, Izumi and Momo found themselves back to back, surrounded by robotic enemies. "On your left," Momo shouted, summoning a staff to knock an incoming robot off its feet. "Got it," Izumi replied, activating one for all and delivering a powerful kick to another. Despite the chaos, their teamwork was seamless, their movements synchronized as if they could read each other's minds. But then, one of the robots launched a surprise projectile toward Momo. Izumi's heart stopped. Without thinking, she threw herself in front of Momo, taking the hit square in her side. The pain was immediate and searing, but she gritted her teeth, refusing to fall. "Izumi," Momo cried, catching her before she could collapse. "I'm fine," Izumi gasped, though her vision blurred. "Focus on the fight." "No," Momo snapped, her voice trembling with emotion. "You're more important than some simulation." With a surge of determination, Momo created a massive shield, using it to block the remaining attacks as she carried Izumi to safety. The rest of the class quickly finished off the robots, unaware of the emotional battle raging between the two girls. As soon as the exercise ended, Momo refused to let Recovery Girl tend to Izumi alone, staying by her side the entire time. "You could have been seriously hurt," Momo said, her voice breaking as she clutched Izumi's hand. But I wasn't, Izumi replied softly, reaching up to wipe away Momo's tears. And even if I had been, it would have been worth it. I'd do anything to protect you. Momo shook her head, her grip tightening. You don't have to protect me alone. We're a team, Izumi. Always. Izumi smiled weakly, her eyes glistening. Always. That night, as the class gathered in the dorm common room, the atmosphere was unusually quiet. Everyone had noticed Momo's protectiveness during the exercise, and whispers had begun to spread. Finally, Uraraka broke the silence. Midoriya, Yaoyorozu, is there something you want to tell us? Izumi and Momo exchanged a glance. This was it, the moment they'd been dreading and anticipating all at once. Momo took Izumi's hand, standing tall as she faced their classmates. Yes, there is. Izumi squeezed her hand, drawing strength from her. We're together, she said, her voice steady despite the nervous flutter in her chest. We've been keeping it a secret, but we don't want to hide anymore. For a moment, the room was silent. Then, Mina let out a delighted squeal. I knew it. Uraraka beamed. That's so cute. I'm happy for you too. Even Bakugo, who sat with his arms crossed, muttered, TCH. About time. As the room filled with congratulations and cheers, Izumi felt a weight lift off her shoulders. She looked at Momo, who smiled back at her, and she knew they'd made the right decision. They weren't just training to be heroes anymore. They were fighting for each other, and that made them stronger than ever. A week later, the news of their relationship had settled in, and to their surprise, the class adapted quickly. Mina and Uraraka often teased them, but it was all in good fun, and even Bakugo kept his remarks to himself, though his occasional grunts of, "Don't let this crap distract you," were his own way of showing concern. Despite the initial relief, Izumi and Momo knew the real challenges were still ahead. Being open about their relationship made them feel freer, but it also drew attention from their teachers. One evening, they were summoned to Aizawa's office. Midoriya, Yaoyorozu. Aizawa's tired eyes moved between them as they stood nervously in front of his desk. I've heard about your relationship. They exchanged a quick glance, unsure of what to expect. Is this going to interfere with your training or missions? He asked bluntly. No, sir, Momo said immediately, her voice steady. If anything, it's made us stronger as a team. Aizawa stared at them for a long moment before leaning back in his chair. You're both responsible students, so I'll take your word for it. But be aware, the hero world isn't forgiving. Enemies will use anything they can against you, including the people you care about. We understand, Izumi said, her voice quiet but determined. We'll protect each other. Aizawa nodded slightly. Good. Dismissed. As they left the office, Izumi let out a sigh of relief. That went better than I expected. Momo smiled, wrapping her arm around Izumi's. See, we can handle this. The test. A few days later, the class faced their toughest challenge yet, an advanced rescue simulation. The exercise was designed to push them to their limits, with unpredictable scenarios and high stakes. Izumi and Momo were assigned to the same team, along with Todoroki, Iida, and Kirishima. Their mission was to navigate a crumbling building and save as many civilians as possible while avoiding simulated villain attacks. The exercise started smoothly. Momo created tools to stabilize debris, while Izumi used her agility and strength to carry civilians to safety. Their teamwork was seamless, earning praise from their classmates. But as they reached the final floor, the simulation took a dangerous turn. A massive explosion rocked the building, separating the team. Izumi and Momo were left alone, surrounded by collapsing walls and spreading flames. Momo, Izumi shouted over the roar of the fire. We have to get out of here. There's one more civilian, Momo said, her eyes scanning the rubble. I won't leave without them. Izumi's heart clenched, but she nodded. Then I'm staying with you. They worked together, clearing debris and stabilizing the structure with Momo's creations. Finally, they found the dummy civilian trapped beneath a pile of rubble. I'll lift it, Izumi said, activating One for All. You pull them out. Momo nodded, her hands steady as she worked quickly. But just as they freed the civilian, another explosion shook the building. A massive beam broke loose, hurtling toward Momo. Momo. Without thinking, Izumi pushed her out of the way, taking the brunt of the beam herself. The impact knocked her to the ground, her body screaming in pain. No, Momo cried, rushing to her side. Izumi, stay with me. I'm fine, Izumi gasped, though her vision blurred. Get the civilian out, that's what matters. Tears streamed down Momo's face as she created a stretcher, carefully placing Izumi and the dummy civilian on it. She carried them both to safety, her legs trembling but her resolve unshaken. When they emerged from the building, the simulation ended. The teachers rushed forward, Recovery Girl already preparing to heal Izumi. Momo refused to leave her side, clutching her hand tightly. You're reckless, she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. You scared me. Izumi managed a weak smile. I'd do it again, for you. Momo shook her head, her tears falling freely. Don't you dare. You're my everything, Izumi. I can't lose you. Izumi's eyes softened. And I can't lose you. That's why I did it. Recovery Girl sighed. You two are impossible, but I suppose that kind of bond will make you incredible heroes someday. The aftermath. Word of their performance spread quickly. Their classmates were in awe of their bravery, and even Aizawa acknowledged their teamwork as a key factor in the mission's success. That night, as they sat together on the dormitory rooftop, Momo rested her head on Izumi's shoulder. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, as if celebrating their triumph. We've been through so much, Momo said softly. And there's still so much ahead. Izumi wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close. Whatever comes next, we'll face it together. That's all that matters. Momo smiled, her heart full. Together. And as the night carried on, they found peace in each other's presence, ready to face whatever challenges the hero world had in store. A rising storm. Weeks passed, and Izumi and Momo's relationship continued to grow stronger, their bond becoming an unspoken pillar of their strength. They trained harder, pushed further, and became an undeniable duo within Class 1A. However, not everything was perfect. Rumors about their relationship had spread beyond the walls of UA. Whispers from other classes, media leaks, and even the Hero Public Safety Commission were starting to catch wind of the two promising young heroes' connection. One morning, while the class was eating breakfast, Aizawa entered the common room with his usual stoic expression, but this time, there was a weight behind it. Midoriya, Yaoyorozu, he called, his tone sharper than usual. You're needed in Principal Nezu's office. Now. The rest of the class exchanged worried glances, but neither Izumi nor Momo said a word. They followed Aizawa in silence, their hearts pounding with unease. The meeting. Principal Nezu greeted them with his signature cheerful smile, though his tone was anything but light. Midoriya, Yaoyorozu, please take a seat. They sat, hands clenched together under the table for comfort. I'll get straight to the point, Nezu began. Your relationship has come to the attention of the Hero Public Safety Commission. They're concerned it might create vulnerabilities, both emotional and strategic, that villains could exploit. Momo stiffened, her jaw tightening. With all due respect, sir, our relationship has only made us stronger. We've proven time and again that we can handle the pressure. Nezu nodded. I agree. Your performance in training exercises has been exemplary. However, public perception and the scrutiny of the hero world are different matters entirely. Izumi's voice was quiet but firm. What are they asking us to do? Nezu hesitated for a moment before replying. They've suggested that you either end your relationship or keep it completely hidden. The choice is ultimately yours, but I must warn you, the spotlight on you two will only grow brighter as you continue your journey as heroes. The words hung heavy in the air. We'll think about it, Momo said finally, her voice steady despite the turmoil within her. As they left the office, neither spoke. They walked back to the dorms in silence, the weight of the decision pressing down on them like a storm cloud. A heartfelt discussion. That night, they met on the rooftop, the same spot where they had once found solace in each other. The cool night air carried a sense of unease as they sat side by side. What are we going to do, Izumi? Momo asked, her voice trembling. I don't want to lose you, but, what if they're right? What if this makes us targets? Izumi reached out, taking Momo's hand in hers. We've already been targets. From the moment we stepped into UA, we've been fighting against people who want to tear us down. This, what we have, it's the one thing that keeps me grounded. I can't lose that. I can't lose you. Momo's eyes glistened with unshed tears. But what if staying together puts others in danger? What if? Izumi cupped her cheek, gently wiping away a tear. Momo, we're stronger together. We've proven that over and over. And no matter what the commission or anyone else says, I'll fight for us. For you. Momo leaned into Izumi's touch, her resolve hardening. Then we'll face this together. No more hiding. If the world has a problem with us, we'll show them what we're capable of. Izumi smiled, a spark of determination lighting up her emerald eyes. Together. The test of courage. Their decision was put to the test sooner than they expected. A week later, during a public hero training event, the League of Villains launched a surprise attack. It was chaotic, with civilians caught in the crossfire and students scrambling to protect them. Izumi and Momo fought side by side, their coordination flawless. But as they worked to evacuate a group of civilians, a villain with a quirk that could manipulate shadows cornered them. You too, the villain sneered, his eyes gleaming with malice. The little lovebirds making headlines. Let's see how strong you really are when one of you falls. He lunged at Momo, his shadows forming deadly spikes. Without hesitation, Izumi activated full cowling, intercepting the attack with a powerful kick. You'll have to get through me first. Momo quickly crafted a cannon, firing a barrage of projectiles to push the villain back. We're not afraid of you, she shouted, standing shoulder to shoulder with Izumi. The battle was fierce, but their unwavering trust in each other turned the tide. Izumi's raw power and Momo's strategic mind created a synergy the villain couldn't overcome. Together, they subdued him, ensuring the safety of everyone around them. The aftermath. When the battle ended, the media swarmed the scene, cameras flashing and reporters shouting questions. Izumi and Momo stood together, their hands brushing but not quite touching. Midoriya, Yaoyorozu. One reporter called out, "How does your relationship affect your ability to work as heroes?" Izumi glanced at Momo, who gave her a small nod. Taking a deep breath, Izumi stepped forward. Our relationship doesn't weaken us. It strengthens us. We're better heroes because we trust each other, because we fight for each other. Love isn't a weakness, it's a source of strength. Momo joined her, her voice steady and confident. The hero world is built on connections, on caring for others. That's what being a hero is all about. We'll continue to prove that, no matter what challenges come our way. The reporters buzzed with excitement, their words spreading quickly across the media. A bright future. Back at UA, their classmates greeted them with cheers and congratulations. Even Aizawa, in his own reserved way, acknowledged their success. You handled yourselves well out there, he said gruffly. Keep it up. As they returned to their dorm, Momo and Izumi finally had a moment to themselves. We did it, Izumi said, a tired but happy smile on her face. Momo leaned against her, her eyes filled with love and pride. We did. And no matter what happens next, I know we can face it together. And as they stood there, hand in hand, they knew their love was unshakable, a force as strong as their dream to become heroes. Together, they would rise above every challenge, proving to the world that nothing could break them. A dangerous proposal. As the days turned into weeks, Izumi and Momo's relationship became a symbol of hope for their classmates. Their determination and teamwork inspired others, but their growing fame also caught the attention of people outside UA, including powerful enemies. One evening, as they returned to the dorms after a long day of training, Momo received an anonymous message on her phone. She opened it cautiously, her eyes narrowing as she read the contents. What's wrong? Izumi asked, noticing the sudden tension in her expression. Momo handed her the phone. The message was chilling. Meet us at the abandoned factory outside the city at midnight. Come alone. If you don't, the people you care about will pay the price. Izumi's blood ran cold. This has to be a trap. We should tell Aizawa-sensei immediately. Momo shook her head, her resolve hardening. If we involve anyone else, they'll target our friends. I can't let that happen. I have to go. No, Izumi said firmly, grabbing her hand. We'll go together. I'm not letting you face this alone. Momo hesitated, her heart torn. Izumi, please, Izumi said, her voice trembling with emotion. I promised I'd protect you. Don't shut me out. After a moment of silence, Momo nodded. All right, but we have to be careful. This could be bigger than we realize. The factory. At midnight, the two of them arrived at the abandoned factory. The air was thick with tension, the shadows stretching unnaturally across the decrepit walls. I don't like this, Izumi whispered, scanning the area with her sharp green eyes. Stay close, Momo replied, summoning a small flashlight. As they stepped inside, the doors slammed shut behind them, and a sinister laugh echoed through the cavernous space. Well, a voice drawled. The famous lovebirds have arrived. A figure emerged from the shadows, a tall man with a menacing grin, flanked by several henchmen. His quirk made the shadows writhe around him like living creatures. What do you want? Momo demanded, standing protectively in front of Izumi. It's simple, the villain said, his tone mocking. You two are becoming a problem. Heroes with hearts are easy to break. I'm here to prove that. Without warning, the shadows surged toward them, sharp tendrils lashing out. Izumi activated full cowling, dodging the attack and countering with a powerful punch that shattered the ground. Momo quickly created a shield, blocking another wave of shadow strikes. You'll have to do better than that. Izumi shouted, her eyes blazing with determination. The fight was intense, the villain's shadows growing more aggressive as he focused on separating them. But no matter how hard he tried, Izumi and Momo stayed close, covering each other's weaknesses and fighting as one. You think your bond makes you stronger? The villain sneered. It'll be your downfall. He unleashed a massive wave of shadows, aiming directly at Momo. Izumi saw it coming and pushed her out of the way, taking the full force of the attack. Izumi, Momo cried, rushing to her side. I'm okay, Izumi gasped, struggling to stand. We're not done yet. Summoning all her strength, Momo created a powerful cannon, firing a concentrated blast of energy that dissipated the shadows. At the same time, Izumi charged forward, using One for All to deliver a devastating punch that sent the villain crashing into the wall. The remaining henchmen fled, leaving the villain unconscious and defeated. A new threat. As they caught their breath, Momo knelt beside Izumi, checking her injuries. You're reckless, she said, tears streaming down her face. But I love you for it. Izumi smiled weakly. I couldn't let anything happen to you. Before they could celebrate their victory, the sound of slow clapping echoed through the factory. Another figure stepped out of the shadows, a woman with a chilling aura and piercing red eyes. Well done, she said, her voice smooth and cold. You've proven you're stronger together. But this is only the beginning. Izumi and Momo tensed, preparing for another fight. Who are you? Momo demanded, her voice steady despite the fear creeping into her heart. The woman smirked. Consider me a messenger. Your love makes you powerful, but it also makes you a target. There are forces at play far beyond your understanding. Be careful who you trust. With that, she vanished, leaving them in stunned silence. A new resolve. Back at Ua, they reported the incident to Aizawa, who listened carefully before nodding. This confirms what we suspected. Your bond is a strength, but it also paints a target on your backs. You'll need to be vigilant. As they walked back to their dorms, Momo took Izumi's hand, her grip firm. We'll face whatever comes together. No matter what. Izumi smiled, her heart swelling with love and determination. Together. And as they looked out over the city, they knew their fight was far from over. But with each other by their sides, they were ready for whatever the future held. A growing storm. The days after the factory incident were tense. Security at UA was tightened, and their classmates began to notice the unease in Izumi and Momo's demeanor. Though they tried to mask it, the lingering threat from the mysterious woman and the realization that they were being targeted weighed heavily on them. One evening, as Class 1A gathered in the dorm's common area, Bakugo finally snapped. You two have been acting weird, he said, pointing a finger at them. Spit it out. What the hell is going on? Kachan, it's nothing, Izumi began, but Momo cut her off. They deserve to know, she said, her voice calm but firm. Turning to the class, she continued, we were ambushed during a mission. A villain specifically targeted us because of our relationship. And there's someone else, someone more dangerous, who warned us that this is only the beginning. The room fell silent as the weight of her words sank in. Why didn't you tell us sooner? Uraraka asked, her tone a mix of concern and frustration. We didn't want to worry you, Izumi admitted, guilt flashing in her eyes. But we can't handle this alone anymore. Todoroki nodded, his expression unreadable. We're a team. If someone's targeting you, they're targeting all of us. Kirishima grinned, clenching his fists. Yeah, let them come, we'll show them what we're made of. The support of their classmates bolstered Izumi and Momo's resolve. For the first time in days, they felt a spark of hope. The next attack. It didn't take long for the villains to strike again. This time, it was during a field training exercise in the city. The students were tasked with rescuing civilians from a simulated disaster, but the simulation turned real when the League of Villains appeared. Chaos erupted as the villains unleashed their attack, scattering the students and cutting off communication with the teachers. Izumi and Momo found themselves in the thick of the battle, surrounded by enemies. You think you can protect her? A familiar voice sneered. The woman with red eyes stepped out of the shadows, her presence freezing the air around her. Let's see how strong your love really is. Momo created a shield, stepping in front of Izumi. Stay behind me, she said, her voice steady. No, Izumi said, her emerald eyes blazing with determination. We fight together. The woman smirked, her hands glowing with an ominous energy. Then let's make this interesting. She unleashed a wave of energy that split the ground, forcing the two of them to separate. Izumi barely dodged the attack, using full cowling to close the distance and counter with a powerful punch. But the woman was fast, dodging effortlessly and retaliating with a blast that sent Izumi crashing into a building. Izumi, Momo cried, panic flashing across her face. I'm fine, Izumi called back, struggling to her feet. Focus on her. Momo gritted her teeth, summoning a massive cannon and firing a barrage of projectiles. The woman deflected them with ease, her laughter echoing through the battlefield. Pathetic, she taunted. You're holding back because you're afraid. Afraid of losing each other. Her words struck a nerve, but they also fueled their determination. Izumi and Momo exchanged a glance, silently agreeing to give it their all. Izumi activated 45% of One for All, her movements blurring as she attacked with renewed ferocity. Momo supported her with precision strikes, using her creations to block the woman's attacks and create openings for Izumi. Their coordination was flawless, their bond shining through in every move. But the woman was relentless, her power growing with every second. You can't win, she said, her voice dripping with malice. Love makes you weak. No, Momo said, her voice cutting through the chaos. Love makes us strong. With a burst of energy, Momo created a massive containment dome, trapping the woman inside. At the same time, Izumi delivered a devastating punch, shattering the dome and knocking the woman unconscious. Aftermath. As the dust settled, the rest of their classmates arrived, having defeated the other villains. They stared in awe at the scene before them, Izumi and Momo standing side by side, battered but victorious. You two are unstoppable, Mina said, grinning despite the chaos. Aizawa and the pro-heroes arrived shortly after, securing the villains and assessing the situation. You handled yourselves well, Aizawa said, his voice tinged with rare praise. But this isn't over. Whoever that woman is, she's part of something much bigger. Izumi and Momo nodded, their resolve unshaken. A new beginning. That night, as they sat together on the rooftop, Izumi reached for Momo's hand. We'll face whatever comes next, she said, her voice soft but determined. Together. Momo smiled, leaning her head against Izumi's shoulder. Together. And as the stars shone above them, they knew that their love was not a weakness, but a strength that would guide them through any storm. The final confrontation. Months of relentless battles, threats, and challenges led to the ultimate showdown. Izumi and Momo, alongside their classmates, faced off against a coalition of villains led by the enigmatic woman with red eyes. It was a battle that would decide the future, not just of heroes, but of their own lives and dreams. The fight was brutal, pushing everyone to their limits. The woman revealed her true power, a quirk that allowed her to manipulate emotions and exploit weaknesses in the heart. She targeted Izumi and Momo directly, using their bond against them. "You think your love will save you?" she sneered, her energy creating illusions that forced them to relive their worst fears. "All it does is make you vulnerable." The illusions were vivid. Izumi saw Momo lying injured, unable to move, while Momo saw Izumi being consumed by shadowy tendrils, reaching out to her in desperation. The pain was overwhelming, threatening to break them. But as the illusions grew stronger, so did their resolve. "Izumi," Momo cried, her voice cutting through the fog of fear. "We've come too far to give up now." Izumi's heart pounded, her emerald eyes blazing with determination. "Momo, no matter what happens, we face it together." Drawing strength from their love, they shattered the illusions, their bond unbreakable. Together, they launched a coordinated attack, Izumi using 100% of One for All, and Momo creating a powerful energy amplifier that channeled his strength into a devastating final blow. The woman collapsed, her power extinguished. The remaining villains fled, their forces scattered. The battle was over. The world takes notice. The aftermath of the battle sent ripples across the hero world. Izumi and Momo's bravery and teamwork were celebrated, their bond becoming a symbol of hope and resilience. During a press conference held at UA, the two of them stood side by side, addressing the media. "Throughout our journey, people have told us that love makes you weak," Momo said, her voice steady and confident. "But we've proven the opposite. Love is a strength, a force that drives us to protect, to persevere, and to grow stronger." Izumi nodded, her eyes shining with emotion. "Our bond didn't just make us better heroes, it made us better people. And we'll continue to fight for each other, and for everyone who believes in us." The room erupted in applause, their words resonating with heroes and civilians alike. A bright future. As life at UA returned to normal, Izumi and Momo finally had a moment to breathe. They sat together under the same tree where their journey had truly begun, watching the sunset. "You know," Momo said, leaning against Izumi, "I never thought we'd make it this far. But now, I can't imagine life any other way." Izumi smiled, her heart swelling with love. "Neither can I. No matter what happens, I'll always fight for us." Momo turned to her, her eyes filled with warmth. "And I'll always stand by your side." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the world in golden light, they shared a quiet moment of peace. Their journey had been fraught with challenges, but together, they had overcome every obstacle. And as they looked toward the future, they knew that their love, unshakable and enduring, would guide them through whatever lay ahead. The world wasn't perfect, but together, they were ready to make it a better place. The end. And that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more awesome content. Also, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video. Drop your opinions in the comments section below. And if you've got any ideas for what topics I should cover next, let me know. See you in the next one.